All right, guys. So, welcome back to the NFL predictions, and who can really predict anything in this NFL? There's only three good teams, and the other, like, everyone is either good. There's really only three awesome teams. Like, there's three real Super Bowl contenders in the NFL. The rest are just, like, either good or you're fucking frauds. There's no in between. So, let's get started with tonight's game, which is the Falcons taking on the Panthers. We're getting a rematch, and if it's anything like last week's game, it's going to be interesting. I am actually going to give this to the Panthers. Not the Panthers, excuse me, the Falcons. I'm going to give this one to the Falcons. The Falcons are, like, even though they kind of just fucked around and found out with the Chargers last week, I do think that the Panthers are just that bad, and now it's just time to get the tank out. I mean, what do you have? Sam Darnold coming out to play football? Fucking brilliant. Meanwhile, the Falcons are actually, like, competitive. Like, these guys, even though they're also rebuilding, these guys are also really getting really competitive and want to win this, act like they want to win this division. God knows the other teams don't. So, I'm giving this one to the Falcons. Almost said Panthers, but Falcons. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Buccaneers in Germany. Congratulations, Bucks! You beat a team that just has a worse offense and defense than you. So, now you get to play a real team. Isn't that nice? You know, I'm giving this one to the Seahawks. They have clearly, like, got an offense and defense, and Geno Smith is playing 10 times better than Tom Brady. There, I said it. Next up, we have the Lions taking on the Bears. Bears, even though you won, you had the most exciting game of the week against the Dolphins, and now it clearly shows that Justin Fields is that guy. Like, you've clearly shown that Justin Fields is the guy you're going to have. Lions, you pulled off a win, and while you won't win the first overall pick, you're still in the Tank Bowl. I do think that the Lions are, like, even though they're losing a lot, if they got a defense, this team would be so much better. So, I guess just tank for defensive players and maybe a new QB, because you're not going anywhere with Jared Goff. I'm sorry. So the Lions and the Bears are both, like, not good teams. We kind of already know who the winner of the when I said earlier, I should really say there's only 4 teams that are really Super Bowl contenders. 2 from the NFC, 2 from the AFC. One of them being the one of the 2 of the NFC being the Vikings. The Lions, it's just a so bad division, and the Vikings are now getting in weeks getting to probably lock up the division. So the Lions, I think, they're going to put up a fight, but I am going to give this one to the Bears, even though they are, it's going into rebuild mode. This is more, I think this game is going to be more of showing more of Justin Fields developing, finally, thank God. And the Lions are just going to be like, we're going to be competitive, but we're not going to win. Anyway, so I'm going to give this one to the Bears. But the Lions, they might be scrappy enough and the Bears' defense might be this bad that they might pull off a win and go, have back-to-back wins. Just to show improvement. I really don't hate either team, the Bears and the Lions. I really don't hate either team, and this is just more of, let's get improvement, or at the very least, draft picks. Next up, we have the Browns and the Dolphins. Dolphins, you guys came off with a win that you should have, that was really impressive. And again, Tua's playing out of his mind. You have the Browns, who are the Browns. Really, it's just Nick Chubb, and you're just waiting for Deshaun Watson to come back so he can totally save your franchise. No, really, he's totally going to do that, even after sexually assaulting over 60 women. He's totally going to do that. Yeah, totally. You gave up your entire future for an untested QB. Go fuck yourselves, Cleveland. Anyway. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to give this one to the Dolphins. If you stop the run game with Nick Chubb, then really there's nothing here for the Browns. So I am going to give this one to Miami. They are now, along with the AFC, the NFC East, the AFC, almost said AFC West. Hey, West. I thought you said East. I thought you said West. I'm so fucking dumb. Anyway,
Did you say West?
yes.
I thought you said East.
I did. That was my dad. Anyway, so I'm gonna give this one to the Dolphins. Bottom line, because now that whole division's getting really competitive. Next up, we have the Broncos taking on my Tennessee Titans. I'll give this one to the Titans, but this time I really fucking hope you finish off your goddamn opponent like you should have done the last game against the Chiefs. You had a 17-point lead, and you didn't know how to finish it. That's the story of the Titans this year. I mean, we're gonna win the AFC South and make it to the playoffs, but I'm already expecting us to be one and done. Like, I have no hopes. Broncos. I'm giving this one to the Titans because Broncos, congratulations, you won a game, but that team is still terrible, and Russell Wilson looks like he's overcooked. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So moving on. Now we come to probably going to be the most exciting game for the week, and this one I'm going to be really excited to see. The Viking, and I can't believe I'm saying this. The Vikings and the Bills. This game could be a preview for what could be the Super Bowl. That's how it's looking like right now. Is that, like I said, there's only I should have said it's really four. The Vikings, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs are really the only four real Super Bowl contenders. And this game, like I said, could be a preview for the Super Bowl. It could be that. You may be thinking, well, the Bills just lost to the Jets. How can you say that? Yeah, but the Jets are actually surprisingly good and could make a wild card spot. Like at this, you ever thought we'd be here at the point where the Jets of all teams could make a playoff run, right? But the Vikings are really good. Kevin O'Connell has really played this. This is going to be a tough one because, yeah, you could say, yeah, they lost to the Jets, but chip meets shoulder, and this could be this is going to be a real good game. I really do think this is going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a harsh game. I think it's going to be a really, I think it's going to be the best game of the week, hopefully. I'm going to give this one to the Vikings defense is really good, and the Kirk Cousins, when he's not playing primetime, and this is not, could be really threatening. Bills, I mean, Josh Allen is injured, but it's nothing too serious, I think. But we'll see how bad this injury messes with him. I'm going to give this one, it's really tough, but I think I'm going to give this one to the Bills. Just slightly, but this is one of those games where it's going to either teeter either way. Like I said, this could be what could be a preview of the Super Bowl. Next up, we have the Texans and the Giants. Now, normally this would be a tank bowl, but today, nope. Every New York team has a winning record so far, and the Giants, the Texans, you're the Texans. Giants are going to just giant all over you. It's going to be a giant sticky mess. I'm going to stop before I go any further. I'm going to give this one to the Giants. Next up, we have the Jaguars and the Chiefs. What I'm sure to be will be a competitive... I can't even finish that. You're going to get fucking wrecked, Jaguars. You're going to Arrowhead to get ass-raped with a shovel. Chiefs. Next up, we have the Saints and Steelers. Now, here's a tank bowl for you. Here's a real tank bowl. It's really who sucks more. I'm going to give this one to the Saints slightly because of the defense, and also the Steelers have nothing. They really have nothing. Next up, we have the Colts and Raiders, another game that's going to suck. It's really going to be like, how bad are our coaches and how bad are our teams? Josh McDaniels and Jeff Saturday, a former Colts center who is an analyst and has no coaching experience except for high school coaching. I don't even know what Jim Irsay is on. Probably a lot of peyote. This could really... It's just really a game of who's going to suck more. Like, that's really what I'm looking at right now with this game, is who's going to outsuck the other. I'm going to say the Colts are just going to outsuck the Raiders, and Josh McDaniels gets to keep his job for another month. I'm going to give this one to the Raiders. Next up, we have the Cardinals and the Rams. Another thing of terrible teams. It's just really who's going to outsuck the other. I think I'm going to go with the upset and give this to the Cardinals. Mostly because after seeing that Bucs game, the Rams really have no defense, and Sean McVay is kind of being exposed as this. He was really more dependent as a head coach on his coordinators, especially Kevin O'Connell. So, give this one to the Cards. But if Cliff Kingsbury does lose this game against the Rams, he needs to be fired. He needs to be just launched into the fucking sun. Next up is the Cowboys taking on the Green Bay Packers. Packers, y'all suck. Y'all just straight up suck. And you did it to yourselves, too. You literally went over the cap. You have Aaron Rodgers, who's clearly been washed. You slammed the door shut after 2 years, after all this fucking around and finding out you could have been a dynasty and at least, at the bare minimum, had 2 more Super Bowl rings to your name. But nope, you fucked around and now you're going to find out because the Cowboys are going to stomp you into the dirt. It's Cowboys. And guess who you get to play for the next 2 weeks? Titans and the Eagles. Oh boy. At least you have draft picks. So next up we have the Chargers and the 49ers for our... Oh wait, I'm sorry. Was it the Chargers and Chiefs for Sun? Oh yes, I'm sorry. It was the Chargers and Chiefs because I was like, wasn't the Chargers and Chargers and 49ers? Excuse me, that's the game. Because Chargers and Chiefs have been flexed up to next week. So, yeah. So, Chargers and the 49ers. Chargers, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to give this one to the 49ers. I think the 49ers, now that they do have a few more injuries, but the Chargers clearly don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't even, the 49ers are clearly, the Seahawks and 49ers are jockeying really the only two that clearly want to win the NFC East. I don't know how the Chargers have a winning record, but I think it's going to stop very soon because the 49ers, with a healthy Christian McCaffrey and among a few other vital pieces, this is going to be I think this is going to be a shit-wrecking game. But it could be interesting. It could be, at the very least, an interesting game. I am kind of seeing that the Chargers are really I don't know what to think of you. You have Justin Herbert, but he's kind of regressing. I don't know, but I am giving this to the 49ers. Like I said, this is really, aside from the Seahawks, the only team that seems to give a shit about winning the goddamn division. Whereas the Cardinals and Rams are just fucking around. Anyway, so next up we have the Commanders and the Eagles. Our final game from Monday night. Eagles on a winning streak, and yes, I know, they didn't wake up and fight to play the Texans. But you know what? Sometimes that just happens. It's like any given Sunday, as they always say. Commanders are pretty garbage. The Eagles are playing at home. The Commanders are a pretty bad team. I think we know where this is going, right? I'm going to give this one to the Eagles. This team is clearly one of the 2 NFC teams that are Super Bowl contenders, aside from the Vikings, who are right behind them. But yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game to watch. Well, not a fascinating game. It's going to be more the Eagles just kind of further developing Jalen Hurts, as well as having A.J. Brown having a really good season, more than he had with the Titans. You go out there and you go play your heart out, A.J. You go. As a former Titan, I'll be rooting for you. Okay? Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, to all 10 people who watch these, what do you guys think of this list? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.